This is the Living Numbers Podcast with the one and only Tony Rambles.
This is the Living Numbers Podcast, and I am your host, Tony Rambles. And obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have somebody here with me, and you know how we do. I have to do an introduction. He has not heard this. He does not know what I'm going to say.
Don't know.
But it's going to be great. But first, we have to do some housekeeping. I would say pay some bills, but I'm not getting paid yet. One day.
But I'm sure you still got bills that need to be paid.
I do need to pay some bills. But make sure you guys like, subscribe, download, follow, share. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like. Throw some comments in there. Apple, make sure you rate, leave 5 stars.
Show some love.
Show some love. Okay, follow me on IG at _Tony Rambles _. And if you want to leave a topic or you want to communicate, you can send me an email. TonyRambles@gmail.com. Now that that's out the way.
Let's do this.
All right, here I have the master of these obscurities in life, hailing from Charlotte Amalie, I don't know if I said that right, where he's become researcher of all things Virgin Islands, 6-time author, boomer sooner, husband, father, and worldwide traveler, U.S. Air Force veteran, Sergeant Enrique Corneiro, but his friends call him Rico.
All right, somebody done that.
There we go. Yeah, say hello. So
I wasn't expecting that.
there we go. See? And I was actually, I'm like, dang, I think he went to Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure. So when you came in today, you had the OU shirt on. I'm like, okay, yes, I don't have to change that part. If you had like a different shirt on, I would have been like, oh, okay, let me go back and do some editing. But my friend here, Rico, we've been friends since, when did I come to you? 20, was it 2015, I think?
Well, you actually went to school with my daughter.
Right.
So that goes back even further.
Shout out to Ebony.
Yeah, there you go, my baby Ebony. But we actually worked together for a number of years. But we're not here to talk about work today.
Not at all.
Talk about much more important things in life.
So I just remember like meeting you and you were like just cool. It was always kind of laid back, but you were always had people coming in and out. Like you were always working, but like nothing ever really got to you. At least you didn't show it. So I'm like, man, that guy's so cool. So we would just talk. Yeah. Y'all know me, I'm a talker. I have a podcast. Yeah. This is what I do. So we would just talk, and over the years, even when he left the bank and I left the bank, we just continued to keep up, and we would have these lunches. So we would have a lunch anywhere. It didn't really matter. And we would just sit there for hours on end. It didn't matter. So as you all see, I've been doing this like for a while. And I want to start with something that's kind of general, but I have my number. Y'all know what time it is. We got to get to the first number.
Okay.
I was looking on Spotify, and I have playlists. I have like an old school playlist. I have a gospel playlist. I have playlists with just instrumental music on there. I got like, I don't know, maybe 8 different playlists. And I was listening to a playlist maybe a week or 2 ago, and it had this button. This was on Spotify. It said enhanced. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So I clicked on the button, and this is where my first number comes in. It adds 100 song enhancements to your playlist. So it just adds 100 songs based on what you listen to. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So that got me to thinking, like, what are some new things that are happening or some new things that I'm looking forward to in 2022? Yeah. You see what I did there?
Okay.
All right. So I know you just did something fairly new yesterday, right?
What's that?
You went to a money show. That's what it's called. A money show. We all like money, but I am not surprised because this guy like he just does stuff that nobody. You just be like, what? Wait, what? What is that?
Yeah, people that go and buy and sell money.
Okay. Yes, please, please.
Money is an interesting thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's anything that people see value in.
Yes.
And some things like a U.S. dollar, you know, there's backing where they have supposedly a certain amount of gold or assets backing it.
Right.
And then there's things today like Bitcoin,
Yes.
where there isn't necessarily anything
Mm-hmm.
backing it other than the fact that it guarantees your privacy.
Right.
So
Did you get in on the Bitcoin?
I
Did
don't
you kinda-
want in on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going for probably $40,000
Woo!
a coin at this time.
Yeah,
and
that's,
say 5 years ago when I was back at Chase, it was a couple $100 a coin. And for those who aren't really familiar with what it is, it's one of those things they call a cryptocurrency.
Uh-huh.
And most of the governments in the world don't like cryptocurrency for a number of reasons. One, they can't track it, they can't monitor it,
Mm-hmm.
but most importantly, they can't tax it.
Yeah, there you go.
And the people in the dark web or the underworld tax
Yes.
elements, people that are involved in things like drugs and terrorism and prostitution, all kind of things.
All
like
kinds
that,
of stuff.
They find it very easy to use Bitcoin to buy and sell stuff because no questions asked.
Right.
Whereas in more established financial institutions, it's much more highly regulated.
Yeah, they want to know what's going on.
They want to know what's going on. But to make a long story short, went to a coin show yesterday, and I mean everything from Greek and Roman coins, things from before Christ, things going back to Egyptian days, all the way up to current things that are minted today.
Mm-hmm.
And people just there buying and selling, exchanging currencies. Everything from a bullion of silver or gold.
Yeah.
Big ones you see on TV that are like held in Fort Knox. There's people that had things like Confederate currency from when the United States was split, all the way up to back when they used to issue $500 bills, $1,000 bills,
Yeah.
$10,000, $100,000 bills, all of these kind of things, stock
Right.
certificates, everything having to do with the
Yeah.
exchange of wealth was at
Yeah.
that show. So just one of my many hobbies.
This
But
guy's
I
done
had a
so
great
much
time.
different stuff. I guess like what's something else like that you have like a show or something that you've done that's something that people don't even know exists, right? These obscurities. I like that word.
Well, and I guess I'll back up a little bit
Yeah.
and kind of give people a little bit of my background. Born and raised in the United States Virgin Islands, like you mentioned, Charlotte or Molly. And most people don't know where the Virgin Islands is. So if you imagine, we're in Houston. To go to Florida, it's about 1,000 miles. Well, if you keep going another 1,000 miles, you're going to pass places like Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico.
Yep.
Then you finally get to the Virgin Islands.
Oh, all right.
So the island that I was born and raised on is called St. Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
It's 13 miles long by 3 miles wide. You can practically
Wow.
see the ocean from anywhere that you're standing because the island is so small.
That sounds really nice.
And you know, you mentioned when I was in banking and seeing clients, it seemed like I was fairly calm and things wouldn't upset me and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would, you know, contribute that to my days as an air traffic controller. So as a little kid growing up on the island, like I said, everything was small. We did have one airport, and I can remember, very clearly. My dad used to take us to the airport.
Yep.
To watch the planes take off and land.
Wait, just like a hey guys, we're going to the airport just to
Yeah, we used to go and sit on the hillside.
like going to the park.
Like going to the park and watch the
Okay.
planes take off and land. And for me, that was like, man, that's
Wow.
so incredible.
Yeah.
And whereas all the other little kids in school were, taught to be a doctor, a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer, whatever, those kind of things.
Yep. Yep.
I wanted to be an air traffic controller.
All right.
And most people are like, I'm not even sure.
Not sure what
an
that.
air
I was
traffic
just about to
controller
say, what is it?
or what an air traffic controller does. Okay, here's what it is. At the airport,
Mm-hmm.
there's the runway. Everybody recognizes
Yep.
that. There's usually a tall tower
Mm-hmm.
right there. And inside the tower, there's guys that sit in there
Yes.
and tell the planes where to go and what to do.
Right.
So you'll know whose turn it is to take off, whose turn it is to land,
Yep.
and to deal with any emergencies that may have come up.
Okay.
So as a little kid, I used to see the planes, and I used to think to myself, I don't think I want to fly one,
Uh-huh.
but it's kind of like a remote control plane. To
Yeah.
see a plane flying and to say turn left and watch it turn left, or to tell it turn right and watch it turn right, it was like playing
Yeah.
with remote control planes. And when I was in high school, I had a phys ed coach that had overheard that I was interested, and one of his buddies was a controller.
All right, here we
so
go.
He made that phone call and say, "Hey, I got a kid that's interested. I'm gonna have him come down and
Right.
visit with you guys." And they would let me sit in the tower and watch the planes land and stuff like that.
Man.
So I was like, "How do I become an air traffic controller?"
Mm-hmm.
And all of the guys pretty much, were like, "Okay, you almost have to go through the military because that's where the planes are." There's not too many private schools.
Yeah.
There's one called Embry-Riddle Aeronautical Institute. There's another one called Spartan School of Aeronautics.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to drop a lot of money
Right.
to get an opportunity to get the training, but you never actually control planes. But if you join the military, then you would actually get to talk to the
That
planes.
was your end.
So that was my end.
Huh. Okay.
And so I took the little AFSVAB test, which is the little military test to see, your aptitude and stuff like
Yep.
that. And I scored highest in my school.
Wow. Wait, so did you go to high school in the Virgin Islands
Virgin
or
Islands,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So, but the recruiters were there and everything like that, and they would come and the Army guy would tell you, "Okay, I'm gonna put you in a tank. You're gonna do this." The Navy guy would come and tell you, "I'm gonna put you on a sub. You're gonna do this." And the Air Force guy would promise you this and that. The Marine was like, "Listen, son, I ain't gonna promise you nothing other than 3 square meals a day, and a cot to sleep on." So I already knew I wasn't going in the Marine.
I'm good.
But the Air Force guy was saying some stuff. He's like, "I'm gonna be straight with you. We don't have air traffic controller openings right now, but if you enlist, something might open up." So it's like, man, do I take this chance?
Yeah.
And go for it. So I did, and I joined the Air Force. I became an engineering assistant. I did a lot of drafting and serving and stuff like that. And then every week, I used to go down to the there was a department where you could change your jobs. And every day, I'm not kidding you, for 4 years, because that's how long your enlistment was, I would go down there and I would check and see if any air traffic control positions had opened. And none opened up for 3.5 years.
Oh.
And I went on vacation, and lo and behold, the person that worked in the office said, somehow they tracked me down.
Yeah.
Got my phone number
Uh-huh.
at my mom's house in the Virgin Islands
What?
to say, "Airman such and such,
Hey, you better come
you
on.
have come to my office every week for the last 3 years looking for this stupid air traffic control job, and we never had one.
Yes.
2 positions just opened up.
Wow.
You need to come back right now and apply for
Yeah.
this to at least get a chance to get in." So
Man.
I dropped everything I was doing. I ran back, and there was stacks of paperwork that needed to be filled out.
Uh-huh.
And to make a long story short, I forged everything.
Oh.
It was impossible to get everything signed and completed and taken around to everybody that needed to be done and get it submitted in time.
Oh man.
So there was this one general that I used to work with. I used to support him, and he had made the comment about it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. And I said,
Yeah.
well, if I ever needed to take this piece of advice, I'm going to do it now.
I'm going for it.
And I went for it. And I filled out those paperwork. And I put whatever
Man.
signatures needed to be on there. And I got it in there. And lo and behold, they picked me. I was
Wow.
one of the 2 people. That was the only way I was going to get in.
Uh-huh.
So the air traffic control class was in Biloxi, Mississippi. And it had 25 people started in the class.
What year was this?
This is 1990. 1989, 1990. And I remember that very clearly because the song Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby had just come out. And that was like the biggest thing.
We are spanning generations
but,
here.
There we are. But here I am in this air traffic control class. And I started with 25 people. And 4 months later, there were 5 of us left.
Yeah.
Out of 25, only 5 graduated.
Why? I mean, like, why? Like, what happens from when you first start to the end to why people would like drop off? Is it just difficult? Was it like a weeding out process? Like, oh, you didn't make the cut after 6 weeks or whatever?
There's the technical aspect of the job that's very, very challenging to start with.
Yeah.
And then there's the psychological aspect of the job. One of the things that they would do whenever you're pretending to be an air traffic controller is whenever you made a mistake and accidentally kill somebody, they would pretend like, okay, now we got to go to a funeral.
Yeah.
And they would make you go and apologize to the next of kin for killing them.
Wait, like in real life?
They would make a whole pretend scenario.
Okay.
Of you had to go because they wanted you to feel like how real this is going to be. Because keep in mind, as an air traffic controller, if you do something and you cause a plane to crash, especially a military aircraft, the cheapest ones,
man,
like maybe $10 million. You can't pay that back.
Yeah.
So what happens is, if you crash a plane, they don't mind paying out the life insurance money. They care about the plane. And what happens is, you cause a $40 million airplane to crash, or if it's a big one, it's like $1 billion aircraft. Their only course of action against you is usually going to be to put you in jail, which usually happens.
Dang.
So every day you go to work, you're under the stress of, if I make a mistake, there's no,
sorry about that. No, it's people are dying and I'm going to jail.
There's no like, I'm going to pay for this.
Lives are on the line.
Yeah, you're going to jail.
Wow.
And people will die.
That is a lot of stress.
So now, as a controller, there was also a saying, either you're a controller or you're not.
Okay.
With that being said, you're not a controller and a good husband. You're not a controller and a college student. You're not a controller and this. And
Sacrifice.
a big part of that is that as a controller, you could be 18 years old, and most of us were 25 or less. And you go in there and you have people with all the rank in the world. I mean, colonels, generals, whatever. And you're multi-million dollar, not multi-billion dollar aircraft. And here you are 18, 19, 20. You're saying, you do this, you do that, you stop, you wait. And if somebody stresses you out, you say, maintain radio silence. And that's just a professional way of saying, shut up.
Nice.
And if they talk again, you can get their license pulled.
Man, I need that. I need one of those buttons.
But see, here's the thing. All day long, you're in control.
Yes.
Because either you're in control or you're not.
Yeah.
And you're telling everybody what to do. And then you go home and your girlfriend's there or your wife's there.
You're like, maintain radio silence.
And
oh no, you're in trouble.
Talk to them like, when I first came into the tower, all the guys that had been married had been divorced at least once.
Dang.
At least once.
Wow.
It just demands so much of you. Also, as a controller, you're 18, 19, 20 years old, right? You should be thinking about girls and partying and all this kind of stuff. All you think about is airplanes. All you dream about. You have the
airplanes.
You dream about airplanes. For 4 years in a row, I dreamt about airplanes.
Like crashing them? Like I hope I don't crash it.
Everything. Scenarios. You just dream about planes flying around and different things happening. And here's the thing.
Like running the game
Here's
through
the thing.
in your
Air
head all
traffic
the
control
time.
is a very, very, very easy job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
Easy.
I could teach the average idiot how to be a controller in 10 minutes. I'm not kidding.
Really?
I'm not kidding.
Huh.
However, there's also a saying, everybody could work in an ideal situation.
Right.
It's when you're no longer working in an
Yes.
ideal situation that things
Now
happen.
what do you do?
And let me give you an example of what's not an ideal situation.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful day like today.
Yep. Very
It's
nice
clear,
outside.
You can see a million miles. Everything's good. And then electricity blinks. And your screens go off. And you don't know where any other planes are or anybody. It's the same thing as me telling you, close your eyes.
Uh-huh. Eyes
Tell
closed.
me, okay, close your eyes. Tell me every single thing that's on this table right now.
Okay, we got 2 microphones. They have cords.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes into an anchor.
Okay.
And that goes into the laptop.
Okay.
For anybody just listening, I have my eyes closed.
Okay.
And I'm doing this
And
exercise.
what's over here by me?
By you is a water bottle
Okay.
with a cozy on it.
Okay.
I don't know what that cozy says though.
Okay. What else?
Aside from that and the microphone,
Mm-hmm.
there's something else.
Okay.
I
Open
don't-
your eyes.
Oh man, there's a phone, there's a mask.
There's 2 more things on here.
I totally just
In
no
the world of
idea.
air traffic controlling, you did very good.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's 2 planes flying around that you don't know where they are.
Oh my goodness, I
And
cannot
you don't
imagine.
know what they're doing.
That's crazy. I missed
And
too much.
And you don't know when it's going to happen. So what happens is, if your eyes are open and you ask you to tell me what's on the table, it's easy.
Yep, no big deal.
But you didn't know I was going to tell you to close your eyes. And even the best backup system, when it kicks off, the computer still takes a certain amount of seconds to reboot and come back up. But when you have a plane flying 700, 800, 900 miles an hour, when you close your eyes for a couple seconds, it's gone.
So what do you do? Like if that did that happen to you?
Here's the other thing.
Oh,
The answers to most everything is in the book. It was called 7110.65. These are called your Bible. It has all the answers in there. However, you don't have time to go look
Yes.
for what to do.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
You gotta do something. You gotta say something.
Gotta draw it up.
And what I was telling you is most people will say air traffic control is a very stressful job. And the reason that it's stressful is because something is going to go wrong. I guarantee you, something's going to go wrong at least once a day, but you don't know when
And what it's going to be.
What it is.
Oh.
Exactly. So what happens is, imagine a scary movie.
Uh-huh.
And the guy's walking down the alleyway. It's
Yep.
dark.
Yep.
And they got that creepy music playing.
Uh-huh.
You know what you feel like that?
Yes.
That's how you feel as an air traffic controller.
All day.
All day.
Oh man.
Every day. You're waiting for that monster to jump out. And then after the monster jumps out, then you can relax. Because
Right.
you know that scary part's already
That's it.
happened. So you can only give so much of yourself
Yeah.
for so long doing that kind of work. Because you're just like this. So
Yeah.
tense all the
All
time.
the time.
Even though nothing's happening. It's like, hey, how's it going today? I'm fine.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it.
You're so stressed.
When's lunch?
And you have to kind of incorporate that into your life.
Right. How long did you do that?
I did it for 4 years.
And then you had to get out.
I chose to get out because I saw that you couldn't do anything else. You have to, you give 99% and somebody's going to die.
Wow. Wow.
You give 99% and somebody's going to die.
Man, I don't even know how to transition
Okay?
that. So
well,
we started from the beginning.
Yeah. And
Right, so-
But what it also tells you
Mm-hmm.
is that you'll hear a lot of people saying, I'm having a bad day, or this is going bad, or that's going bad.
Yeah.
And as controllers, we have a saying, a bad day involves the police, the fire truck, and the ambulance. So if your day isn't touching one of these
Yep,
three,
you'll be fine.
it's a less than ideal day, but
Yeah.
it's not a bad day. When those show
Yeah.
up, and trust me, I've had days the police, the fire truck, and the ambulance showed up.
Uh-oh.
And when I say that, I mean like you loss of a parent, or a sibling, or a best friend, or your house burned down, or somebody
okay.
have a heart attack.
Regular life stuff.
But those are the real bad days in your life.
Right. That makes
so
sense.
in 365 days in a year, you might have 2 bad days.
Hopefully,
But you'll hear people
none.
complaining all the time, I'm having a bad day.
Right.
Because they lost a big account. Or I'm having a bad day because you dropped your cell phone and the screen cracked.
Yeah.
Listen, the police, the fire truck, and the ambulance don't show up when you lose your cell phone.
No, they don't.
That's not a bad day.
They shouldn't.
That's a less than ideal day.
Okay.
So when you take that kind of
Perspective. That's the word.
you can usually deal with anything else. So
Yeah.
when your car breaks down, or when your flight gets whatever overbooked and you stuck in an airport, or whatever happens,
Yeah.
your girlfriend break up with you. Did the police? Did the fire truck? Did the ambulance?
Hopefully
show
not.
up? No, it's a less than ideal day.
So, how did that get you into doing like these different oddities?
Well, it just opens your mind to a lot of different things, and
Uh-huh.
I think one of the things I admire about you, and I see you have your basketball
I
on
do.
the wall, and it has like Chinese writing.
I'm gonna get it.
there, is my dad. He was very involved in sports. He was not a tall or athletic person,
Uh-huh.
and he recognized from an early age that his love of sports could only take him into like broadcasting or being an official
Yeah.
or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So he ended up being behind the scenes, and he would work with athletes from the Virgin Islands and helping them to qualify for different Olympic events.
Nice.
And primarily boxing. So what would happen is, say you have a boxer that's a middleweight,
Yep.
and you want to try to get this guy qualified. Well, you have to take him to all these events, a lot of times all over the world, to get him enough boxing matches and enough wins so that he can qualify. And a lot of my vision to try different things
Yeah.
is having seen him travel all over the world and come back and say, oh man, Germany's like this, Switzerland's like this,
Right.
Panama's like this. You know, it just opened up your mind,
Yeah.
because he would see these things, and you can see when he came home, he was so excited to tell us about it,
Yeah.
that, you know, it made me want to go out and see and experience, you
Absolutely.
know, some of what the world had to offer.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I brought a few things.
All
for
right.
you, because one of the stories that I'll share with you was in 1984, the Olympics were held in Los Angeles.
Coliseum, right?
Yes.
All right.
And in 84 was the last year they had college athletes, I think, playing basketball.
Uh-huh.
And just so happened some of the athletes on the team were Patrick Ewing,
Yes.
Michael Jordan,
Uh-huh.
Carl Lewis, things like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't stay in nice, fancy places. They stayed in the dorms.
Oh, like on
And-
campus?
And yep, they stayed in the dorms, the college dorms.
Okay.
And they had to use the payphones in the hallways at the dorms, because this was 1984. There were no cell phones.
We got Michael Jordan like waiting to use the
So
payphone
here's
behind
the
somebody.
deal. Funny you should mention that.
Oh,
Funny you should mention that, because I remember one night my dad called home and he's telling us about how the boxing's been going and all the different people that he's been meeting. And he would say, hold on a second. He's like, I'm talking to my wife and my family. Give me a minute. And then he would go back on the phone. He's talking to us. And then he's like, okay, hold on a second. And he's like, okay, I promise. 2 more minutes.
Give me a
I'll be
second.
back.
Give me a
Went
second.
Back on the phone again, blah, blah, blah. And he said, this damn Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan boxing to get on the phone. They were one of the kids in line to use
Wow.
the phone, and they kept bothering my dad because they wanted to call and use the payphone.
did he know? Like, they were college stars. They weren't like how we know them now, but were they like? Maybe this is me just being young.
He
Like, what was?
Yeah, he was in. This is before Jordan was Jordan.
Right.
Before Ewing was
Yeah,
Ewing.
yeah.
They were just kids on the USA basketball team.
Okay.
And they were all living in the dorms. Nobody had special security. Nobody had any, tennis shoe deals or
Right.
anything like that.
All
It
of-
was
no
before
hoopla.
that. But yeah, he was like, this damn Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan won't leave me alone. I'm here trying to talk to my wife. But
Okay.
what I was gonna tell you
So what's in
is,
the bag? All right.
one of the
Look at
coolest
this.
things about the Olympic Village is that you have, or the Olympics is, you have probably 200 and something countries that come together.
Okay, these are pins.
These are pins. And
Wow.
what happens is
Check that
not
out.
everybody speaks the same language.
Mm.
So what they do is you'll take a pin and either put it on your shirt or put it on your hat,
That
and
makes
you walk
sense.
around. And you might meet somebody from Mongolia.
Yeah.
And you don't speak whatever
Or
Mongolian, right?
Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they would do is you would see the pin that they're wearing, and if
Uh-huh.
you like the pin, they would show each other the pins,
Yep.
and they would trade.
Nice.
And they still do that to this day.
Wow. So
They've
for
been doing that for many, many decades.
the people who are not watching on YouTube, I would advise you to go at least check it out. We have like this pin collection from all of these different pins from all over the country from the '84 Olympics. Definitely
So-
check that out. Wow.
So
look
like
at-
this one's from India with the white elephant on it.
Wow. Let's get that up in the camera. Let's see if we can. Wow, look at that. That's really cool.
And my dad especially liked the boxers, so
All right.
he collect certain pins
Wow.
that the guys had.
Atlanta, 1996.
And it's so funny that you mentioned Atlanta 96,
Uh-huh.
because in addition to the pins, certain people would get medals from the Olympics. If
Whoa.
you look at that one,
Oh, I think it's
upside down.
yeah, it was upside. Is that a
What's it
silver?
say?
Is that a silver medal? Medal? It says Olympiada, Barcelona, 1992.
Mm-hmm. And this one here was from LA in '84. This is the one when he
What?
met Michael Jordan. and
He's
Patrick
got
Ewing.
medals.
This one was given to him in Cuba by Fidel Castro.
What? Okay, wait. Let's get this in the camera here. You guys got to check this out on YouTube so you can see this historical artifacts. Wow.
And much more so than the actual items is the fact that just keeping your mind open
Yeah.
to the world as a whole and the bigger picture and stuff.
Mhm.
So even though, keep in mind, he also came from that same little island,
Yep.
3 miles long by 13 miles wide, but he knew there was more out there.
Yeah.
And he wanted to, just devour everything the world.
Right.
had
Let me go
to
see.
offer.
I want to go see.
Exactly. He wanted to go see. He wanted to try. He wanted to participate.
Experience.
He wanted to live life to the fullest and get
Wow.
a little bit out of it. And I know it's so easy to, maybe next time. Or, that's so far away. Or, that's so expensive. Or, I don't know anybody there. Or, I might get
Aw,
hurt.
man.
Or, I might get COVID. All these excuses on why
Right.
you shouldn't live.
Man, I got to live. I got to live
So,
life.
A little bit of me and my exploring all these different things come from, I think,
Yeah.
watching him, be so excited about, it was like, man, where are we going next?
Yeah.
What's next in store for
It's
me?
moving around. And obviously, because I lived in China, I kind of had that same mentality where it's like, okay, why not?
How many people?
Why not go?
Why are you going there? What do you do?
Oh,
You don't
man.
speak the
It's
language.
communism. Like, is it going to be safe? And then when you get there, it's nothing like what you see like on TV or in movies. It was just a lot of regular people living our regular life. They got school, they go to work. There's pizza shops, there's noodle shops. People buy clothes and shoes just like we do here.
Yeah.
So things that were really different are different to, I think, how I live in Houston. But they have subways in New York and Boston and all up the East Coast. Like they have trains in America. So it wasn't so different as to how we live here, depending on what part of the country and what city you live in. But I just wanted to go see something different.
And you embraced it with an open mind. It's like my dad would tell me how at the Olympic Village, he would see somebody wearing a pin, and they would exchange pins and strike up a friendship and spend hours together, or maybe even days together or weeks together for the whole event. And then when you got back, it's like, what did you guys talk about? And he's like, I'm not really sure because I didn't speak their language.
What?
But I knew I could just see this.
We had something.
Yes, your eyes
Yep.
connect, your
Yep.
smile connect.
Yep.
You knew this person's heart was in the right place, and you just had the time of your life.
Man.
And
I mean,
on a different note,
okay, go for it.
this is real low-key kind of thing.
Yeah.
But every year since probably the 1940s, one of the things that the different Olympic committees do is they make sure to disperse lots and lots of condoms. 'Cause
Okay.
believe it or not, you have top-ranked female athletes, top-ranked male.
Oh, okay.
And they're together in the village.
Yep.
It's a very common thing that nobody ever talks about.
Yeah, I did not think of that.
And nobody, they never talk about it.
That
But in your welcome package and everything that you get,
Like, here you
they
go.
always include some for you.
That reminds me of like,
Because people are people.
I mean, it reminds me of when LeVar Ball, you remember when he was said, when he was looking for a wife and to have his kids, he was like, I need somebody that's tall. I need somebody that's athletic. And he went and found that person because he had a specific thing in mind that he wanted for his kids, whether they were boys or girls, or he said he was going to have all boys, and he did. But he was looking for that specific thing. So who's to say that these people, when they go to the Olympics, because these are the best in the world, best athletes in the world.
You're never going to be in better or top physical condition than you are right now. And like I say, not everybody speaks the same language, but there is an attraction, you know, between male and female. That's just human nature. And hey, they're all adults.
Yep.
And
Anything
I
can
found
happen.
that very interesting, that little piece. And they don't want to put, you know, you coming from, you know, Laos or from whatever other country, Uzbekistan, you don't know to find your way to the convenience store to get what you need to come back to, you know, meet whatever. So they always, out of convenience, will include some of that for you. But that's one of those.
Here's a nice care package.
One of those we don't talk about things in addition to the pins that they get. But hey, we're all human.
Okay, so I was having this conversation, right? Story time. And my next number here, I know I hadn't done a number. We've done a ton of stuff. We did 1996, 1992. Those are numbers, okay? Give me some credit here. 84. And so my number here is like 14 or 15 years old. That's the number, okay? Because I was having this conversation with one of my students. And this student was so mature, like beyond their years, right? I'm not going to say any names, like you know who you are. And we just had this conversation over lunch where we were talking about like just how I grew up and just life. And we were talking about how the generations are so different. And so she was talking about like her dad and the things that they had to go through. And this girl had been through some traumatic experiences, and she was kind of saying it without saying it. But I was just thinking about like, you have this conversation with this one kid, and then I have another person that I was talking to around the same age, and they were just from completely different planets as far as maturity. This one could have been a fifth grader. This one could have been, you know, a sophomore in college. Just the way that they think. Same age. Both freshmen in high school. How do you think that happens? Because you are well experienced, seasoned young man yourself. So I was just thinking about like, how do you have one person here? And I know it's the experiences, but just from you being around, you know, how do you think that happens?
When I left home in the Virgin Islands, I knew what I thought was enough to survive in the world. I was 18 years old and I had $300.
I see.
And a job. going to basic training in the Air Force. And I didn't see a problem with it. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yep.
So here I am getting ready to get on the plane. My mom and dad had that look on their face.
Oh, my baby.
And you think and I was like, hey,
let's go do it.
Yeah. And I think now it's like, if my baby was 18 years old with $300, she ain't going nowhere.
Right.
There's no way you'd let your kid venture out 2,000 miles away with $300.
We got to have a better plan.
I didn't know what I didn't know, but what I did know is that they instilled in me certain values and a certain work ethic and a certain drive to succeed.
Yeah.
And also to treat people fairly and the same, and to not judge them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so even though I had certain people that went before me that would say things like, "Oh man, you're going to Texas. That's in the South. It's going to be racist."
Yep.
You know,
watch your back.
Then after Texas, my first assignment was in Oklahoma. So everybody's like, "Oh man, it's going to be a real racist."
Here we go. Yeah.
Or even when I went to Mississippi for air traffic control training, everybody's like, "Oh yeah,
you're definitely not coming back. You'll be back soon.
You're doomed. You're going to be in the middle of racism and this and that." And I'll tell you 2 stories.
Okay.
I've experienced racism twice in my life.
Okay, I was actually going to say, well, did you?
Okay,
all right, here we go.
Okay, incident number 1. I was in Oklahoma, and this is in the 80s. I was still in the military at the time. And we used to drive around on Saturdays looking for black people. I'm not kidding. We used to drive around because there were no black clubs. There was nothing. It was just spattered in between, and we'd like try to find some R&B music or some rap or anything that we could have fun because we're young, and you know. And there wasn't a whole lot, but at the University of Oklahoma, they had a place called the BPU, the Black People's Union.
Okay.
And they would have parties every so often. One night we went to a party, had a good time, and it was probably 4 of us in the car. And we're driving back, long road, dark road.
Oh, man.
Not a lot of lights. We got a flat tire.
Uh-oh.
My car passed like maybe once every 30 minutes. So here we are on the road.
This is classic, like, scary movie stuff.
So here it is. Here comes the pickup truck, and it pulled up right behind us and stopped.
Oh, crap.
And a bunch of white guys got out of the truck, came over and looked at us, looked at our tire, went back to the bed of their truck, got a crowbar and a spare tire, came over, jacked our car up, changed the tire, and said, "You guys be safe."
Wait, these were white guys?
Yes. And we drove the rest of the way home. Nobody said a thing. And we said to ourselves afterwards, if we were the ones driving home and we saw some white guys in the truck on the side of the street, would we have stopped to help them?
Probably not.
The answer is no. We were the ones being racist.
What?
We
Twist.
were the ones being racist. We would not have helped them. Not because they didn't need help, but because of all of our stereotypes and everything, we wouldn't have.
We used the word perspective earlier.
Racist event number 2.
Okay. This.
Again, I'm in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's not a racist place, but I was in Oklahoma. So now I'm in the military, and there was a guy named Guy Bluford. He was the first black astronaut.
Nice.
And they told us, guess what, guys? Guy Bluford, first black astronaut. He's coming to Tinker. He's going to give a big speech. We want to have a great turnout.
Yes.
Everybody come sign up. Let's all register so we're going to go to this event, have a good time. About 2 weeks before the event, they're like, "Hey guys, did we mention that the first black astronaut's coming and he's going to be giving some speeches?
Yeah.
And we need a lot of people to sign up."
Come on.
And then about a week before the event,
hey guys,
they're like,
"He's coming."
Okay now. And he's coming. They're specifically coming around to all the black soldiers and stuff like. And they're like, "Okay now,
Yeah.
y'all don't make us look stupid.
Right. Y'all better
Y'all
show
better
up.
come see the first black astronaut.
This is important.
And they were like, matter of fact, y'all ain't got. You're not going anywhere Saturday or Sunday.
Yes.
You those days that you were off, you're not off. So now we're all pissed off. We're like, man, I don't want to go see this sellout. There's only time, blah, 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 blah. The only reason he's there because they put him there and this and that. And we're like, they're forcing us to go to see him. I don't want to see him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I got dressed. I went. I was pissed.
Uh-huh.
I got to go see the first black astronaut.
Who cares?
Who cares? Guy walked in. And we're in a room full with politicians, generals, colonels, fighter pilots. I mean, big, heavy
Big
hitters.
time people.
And he walked up and quietly started talking. And the room was silent. Everybody was hanging on every word he said. This guy was so intelligent.
Wow.
He was not the first black astronaut because it was time for the first black astronaut. He was there because he was that good.
Yeah.
Some of the things he talked about was in the space shuttle. You see what it looks like. It looks like a plane. Kind
Right.
of,
We see it on TV, on the movies.
And an airplane flies like this, right? But the space shuttle flies upside down. And the reason the space shuttle flies upside down is because you're going around the Earth. And if you're right side up, you can't see it. But if you're upside down, you can.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
So everybody's like, whoa, my mind is blown. The next thing he talked about is how it doesn't fly right side up, it flies upside down.
Uh-huh.
It also flies backwards. And the reason it's flying backwards is because if there's space debris out in the air and it hits something, you don't want it to hit your windshield and potentially kill you. You want it to hit the back where it's not going to hurt anything.
That's not even something that we would even think about as regular people.
But these are the things that he helped solve.
Uh-huh.
And let's talk about how fast the space shuttle flies. Okay. The fastest plane that we have is called the SR-71.
Okay.
It's a jet that can fly Mach 3, which is 3 times the speed of sound.
That's fast.
Let me tell you how fast that is. It's so fast that if you put a gun on the SR-71 and fire it, the plane passes the bullet.
Oh my! That sounds like
That's how fast
movie stuff.
Mach 3 is, and this is real. The space shuttle flies not Mach 3, Mach 25.
What? 25?
Okay.
That doesn't even make sense.
When you're flying Mach 25, everybody on the shuttle has to decide when they're going to go to sleep. Because they all have to go to sleep at the same time. And let me tell you why. Because every 30 minutes, the light comes on, the light goes off. The light comes on, the light goes off. That's you going around the Earth every
30 minutes?
Dang. And that's the sun coming up, the sun going down. The sun coming up, the sun going down.
Whoa.
And
it's not like that on the movies.
So everybody has to decide you're going to go to sleep at the same time to close the blinds. Also, to go to sleep, all you do is you take your shoelace and you tie it to something so you don't float away.
Yeah.
You tie your shoelace to anything that's nearby, wherever you are, just tie your shoelace and just relax and float and go to sleep.
That sounds cool.
Also, in space, and people say you don't stay in space very long, and one of the reasons why you don't stay in space very long is not that they can't pump enough oxygen to sustain you or whatever, but a big part of it is, like here on Earth, dust settles. So if you do like this, you'll get dust, right?
Yep.
But in space, dust doesn't settle.
It's just all over the place.
It floats. So what happens is if somebody just ate toast, it's floating around.
Ah,
if
that's
you comb your hair and there's dandruff or skin flakes fall off. Day number 1, day number 2, everything's perfect. Day number 30, it's floating around as you're breathing, you're seeing it going in your mouth and out.
Oh, that sounds so nasty.
Even with the filtration systems, it's best that you can do. Some still gets out.
It's just time to go home.
So, needless to say, we're sitting there listening to the first black astronaut say all these things.
Yep.
And when he's done, no mic drop needed.
Wow.
So I didn't even know what to do. I wrote him a letter. I said, man, I thought you were a sellout.
Mm.
I thought you were all these things. He wrote me back.
Really?
Sent me an autographed picture. Sent me a letter. Sent me some patches.
You didn't even want to go.
Sent me some patches.
Wow.
I was being racist to him because I assumed he was a sellout. And you know what? The way he kind of approached me was,
It's okay.
you're not the first black person that was racist to me.
Wow. That's terrible.
But you know what? I'm here to tell the story.
Yes. Don't be racist out there, even against your own people.
Or against yourself sometimes.
There you
Sometimes
go.
you think you shouldn't be there because of,
Right.
your skin color
Yeah.
or your education.
I don't
or
belong.
Whatever. You belong wherever you feel you belong.
Yes. When I see you, it's like, man, he's got like this. It's just interesting, intriguing, because you have all these different kind of stories. And you said, I'm going to tell you 2 racist stories. Who would have thought it was about you being a racist person?
Yeah.
So, like, the people out there, right, listening to the Living Numbers podcast with your host, Tony Rambles, and my wonderful guest and friend, Rico, try to have some perspective, try to look inward, and try to be understanding, and try to figure out who you are.
That man in the mirror.
The man in the mirror. Like, you got to kind of know what you don't know. I remember getting into teaching. In the interview, they said, what do you think your biggest hurdle is going to be? And I said, I've never been a teacher before in the classroom. Like, so I don't know what that looks like yet. But I can tell you one thing, like, I'm going to work hard. I'm great with people and I can communicate. So if I have those things, like, I'll be a great teacher.
Just like I said, my dad didn't even know the
Yeah.
language the guy was speaking.
Yeah.
And they struck up a great friendship.
Yep. I mean, that's people skills. I think that, and we're going to talk about some generations here, right?
Well, not even about people skills, I would say, because you could take 2 kids from anywhere in the world and put them down. They will play.
Yes.
They haven't learned to judge people.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't learned to judge their sex, their color, their income level, their education. They haven't learned. All they know is, I want to play, and you're available to play with me.
But what
as
if
we get older, you meet somebody, instantly you start looking them up and down, trying to figure out
sizing
where
them
they
up,
fit and whether or not this is somebody that's acceptable for you to play with.
But if you give both of those kids iPads, they're not playing together. It's a different time that we live in. And I wrote down here, is the art of being social, like, is that getting lost?
I would say it cannot be lost because as a human creature,
Yes.
we're social by nature.
Agreed.
A lot of times, matter of fact, my show that I went to, the Money Show, was out in Conroe, and I was telling my wife yesterday that after I left Conroe, I went by Cut and Shoot, I went by Splendora, and I went by New Caney.
Yeah.
And that's very isolated out there. You see all the houses are very far apart from one another. We have learned certain skills to make ourselves, to a certain extent, self-sufficient to a certain extent, but we are social creatures that, we may gather our people in our little family and then try to separate, but nobody wants to be alone. And even people in prison, they would rather go into general pop where they can get stabbed than be in a cell by themselves.
Isolated.
How is that? Why would people rather be in general population where it's much more dangerous than in isolation? Because inherently, we're social creatures.
We need each other.
Now, we probably could learn how to play better together. And not pick sides so quickly and so easily.
Try to be more understanding. Like, okay, I don't have to agree, but respect it and try to understand it. But it's not about agreement. It's about just being able to be another person beside another person.
There's a reason that Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all these things and even the dating websites are there because people want to belong. They
Oh,
want to be
man.
together, and there will always be a format for that. You know, you can go back 100 years to the first phone books, to how can you contact me? How can you stay in contact? You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't just yellow pages selling
Right.
stuff. It was a lot of people putting their phone number there so their friends and family and old
Yeah.
classmates can contact
Oh, let me look
them.
up John. He's here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are some things that were a lot less than they are now, like when you were growing up? Like gas and like milk is another one that I remember wasn't nearly as much.
I'm not gonna touch on the commodities because
Just whatever. Yeah.
I would say people like you,
Like me.
in that a young person willing to venture out and take chances and fail and pick themselves up and try again and fail and pick themselves up and try again and fail.
Mm.
It's so easy to say, I will remain on my parents' insurance till I'm 26. I will live in my parents' house until I'm whatever age.
Hey.
I'll put up and tolerate with whatever. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of great people out there, but man, the number of people that have accepted that as the norm to it's okay not to commit to a person and marry them.
Yeah, yeah.
The number of people that are okay with not being that good parent that they should be to the child or to the children. So I would say patience on one end is one thing that's really gone away, and then a lot of the commitment piece. People are much more like, I'm young, I don't want to give up this or that, so
Right.
I'm going to go this route instead, or go that route.
The word that's coming to mind is sacrifice.
Yeah, and you do
Willingness
sacrifice. Yeah, you
to
do.
sacrifice.
You know, and man, let me tell you, I've traveled a lot of the world. I've met a lot of cool people. I've done a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of failures and a lot of sacrifice. You know, to this day, without going into too much, my net worth is over $1 million.
That deserves a hand clap.
But if I see a nickel on the ground, I still will pick it up.
Yeah, I want that nickel.
Or a penny. I still will pick it up.
Why is that?
Because there's value there.
Yep.
The $1 million isn't $1 million that only came from this or only came from that.
Right.
Every penny that I picked up helped me to get there. Just like every friendship that I built
Yes.
helped me to get to that next point.
Yes.
So
In every book,
every book
6.
that I've read, every book that I've written takes me to the next one. And you know, I'm working on number 7 right now, and I'm helping 3 other people write their books so that they can tell their
wow.
stories.
Get out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember like the Rescuing Virgins. That was the one I was like,
yeah.
hey, like that's so cool.
Yeah, just put out a story about that recently. And the Rescuing Virgin is just a story about athletes from the Virgin Islands that have gone on to do big things.
Yep.
And 2021 was a pretty big year for people in the Virgin Islands because Tim Duncan was inducted
Hall
into
of
the
Fame.
Basketball Hall of Fame. Milton Newton
Yep.
was the GM for the Milwaukee Bucks that won the
Got a chip.
championship. There's a basketball player guy named Raja Bell. He
Yes.
used to play
Phoenix.
and stuff. He is now like a talk show host, one NBA talk show host. We have
I know you.
David Vanderpool, who's
Yes.
a coach now. Remember, he was
Brooklyn.
on SportsCenter.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, he just stuck his hand out.
Come on, man. You know you did that on purpose.
And then we got 4 young guys in the league right now with Virgin Islands ancestry. Kemba Walker. John Collins
Yep.
with Atlanta.
Hawks. Good players.
You have
Nick
O'Neal.
Claxton.
You have Nick Claxton with Brooklyn, and then you have
Royce
O'Neal.
O'Neal.
Yeah. So even though the island's only
It's this big.
it's only this big, but we produce a lot of great people doing a lot of great things, and hopefully I can help sing their praises so that people can appreciate what we have contributed to the world as a whole.
I want to ask this: how did you like get into writing, becoming an author?
The very first book that I wrote, and I don't include that in my credits, but
Wow.
was a book about my family history. And it started in that I was researching my ancestry. People look at me and they're like, where are you from? You don't look black, you don't look Hispanic, what's going on here, And after a while, you start asking yourself,
Where am I from? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you start by, you ask your mom and your dad, okay, tell me, who
they don't
are
know
we?
much.
Where are we from? And they'll tell you the little bit they know. And my grandparents have passed, so it's unfortunately too late to ask them questions. But all I knew, my grandfather's name was Grandfather.
You didn't know his real name?
I did not know his real name initially.
Granddaddy.
And but then in digging, you learn his name, you learn a cool story, you dig some more, you learn a cool name, you learn a cool story, so that I've been able to trace my ancestry on my mother and my father's side of the family. My dad back to the early 1700s, and on my mom's side to about 1810. And so both of those go back, to
a couple hundred years.
Yeah, and they go back to the days of slavery. But that's a story for another day. But in talking with my mom, just to give you a little bit of insight.
All right.
One of the things she would tell us is, yeah, your cousin Julia, she likes to be on TV. I was like, what do you mean she likes
on
to
TV?
be on TV? And then I, asked her about it another time, and she said, yeah, that's your cousin Julia. She likes to be, in parades. I was like, what is
Not
that?
Julia Roberts.
No, Julia Wallace. And I was like, what is it? And then one day I was, Googling her name, looking for some stuff, and I saw the 1975 Miss Universe pageant.
Whoa.
And it had Julia Wallace, and she was a contestant in the 1975 Miss Universe. So I went to my mom, and I was like, what is this?
Yes.
And she said, I told you she likes to be on TV.
Like, oh, man, that's...
just blew it
you
off
left the whole big part out of it.
But then same kind of thing on my dad's side of the family, because we had a hurricane come through the islands and mess up a bunch of stuff, and my folks had all the stuff was out drying out after the storm, and I remember going through looking for some of my stuff because I don't want my stuff messed up.
Yeah.
And I found a booklet, and it said history of the legislature of the Virgin Islands, and I'm flipping through the thing. And there was a page, and it said, Conrad Corneiro, first president of the legislature.
What?
And I went to it, and I said, who's this guy?
Yeah.
They said, oh, that's your great-grandfather. Didn't you know?
How was I supposed to know?
How was I supposed to? And then I'm digging through the thing, and I found another piece of paper, and it said, Francisco Corneiro, youngest ever attorney general. And I went and I asked them,
who is this?
Who's this guy? They said, oh, that's your grandfather's brother. That's your great-uncle. Didn't you know? I'm like, no, I didn't know. And it made me think, how many more stories are out there that they just assume you know?
No, I don't know anything.
I don't know anything. But I took it and I started collecting all this stuff. And then I had like a huge stack of stuff that I'd found. But you can't walk around with that.
No.
So I said, I have to consolidate this into something that people can digest.
Yes.
And it turned into a book.
First one.
The first one.
Wow.
And then from there, I found another story that hadn't been told. I said, okay, well, I'll tell this story. And then another story that I thought I could do. And basically, if there's a story, from my past or that, I know stuff about that I feel hasn't been told before, and I can do a good job of telling it, I'll toss my hat in the ring and go for it.
Yeah.
And see. And to this day, it's, made 6 stories that I've put out there. They say the average book is successful if it's sold 1,000 copies.
Okay.
And I have some of my books that have sold over 3,000 copies.
Nice.
So, hopefully that's a sign that I'm doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, I I have a podcast, and
There you go.
you know how many people is listening. You go, okay, well, let me see the views here. Let me see the plays. Do I got any downloads, subscribers? And I think I've said this a ton of times is I just want to continue to put out good episodes.
There you go.
Keep putting out good content. Keep sharing, keep telling people about it. All the shameless plugs, like keep giving them. And, sometimes you just ask like, hey, is it okay if I plug my content here, or, if I talk about my podcast? And if you've garnered enough favor with whatever circle or wherever you may be, and we like you, go ahead and plug it. Go tell people about it. And so, I'm sure like as you continue to write these books, it's just like I just want to keep writing good books. I want to keep telling good stories.
Telling good stories.
Man, wow. I mean, I do. Did you ever go back to school, like to get a master's or anything?
Let me tell you, when I was in school, when I was in the military, they said, okay, if we have the whole GI Bill thing, so when you get out, they give you like $10,000 to go to college. Or whatever. When I was in the military, I was going to school. So imagine this: I was an air traffic controller in the tower. The tower's 120 feet up, and it sways back and forth because of the wind, right?
Yeah.
And you're up there, it's nighttime, and to protect your night vision, you have to turn off all the lights. So I'm sitting in the dark.
Trying to study.
Yes. But wait.
Okay.
I worked the midnight to 8 o'clock shift.
So it was night the entire time.
So I'm there 12, 1, 2, 3, 4.
When you're supposed to be sleep, that's sleep time.
And I have a little flashlight because the other guys are there. Nobody wants to mess up their night vision. So I'm up there doing calculus or doing math or doing history or doing whatever in the tower, and it's rocking back and forth. And I'm like this.
Trying to stay awake.
So while I was in the military, I was going to school, so I was able to get 3 associate degrees. I got associates in liberal arts, 1 in construction technology, and 1 in airway sciences. And then I decided I took as many classes that I could, and I wanted to finish my bachelor's, but I couldn't commute all the way from the base to University of Oklahoma.
Right.
So I had to take that leap of faith and say, I'm done. I got to go and finish. Yeah. So I went and I finished. I got a double major. So I got marketing and management.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did retail for like 5 years, managed Target, Hobby Lobby, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all the while, I was always good with the money part,
right?
The cash office and dealing with the tellers and stuff. So people are like, "Man, you're really good at this. Maybe you should, start helping people manage money." But I would always see TV and see the little ticker symbols go by and never know what they mean.
Like the NASDAQ and all of that stuff.
Yeah, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the S&P 500.
Like,
I never knew what
whatever
that mean. And I was like, if I'm going to be good at this, I need to learn that.
I need to be good at it.
So I went and I talked to some people, and they're like, there's no school for it. To learn it, you have to be in the industry.
Right.
So that's where I ended up going and getting my Series 7, all my investment licenses and stuff like that. So by the time I was ready to get my master's, I was already like so overly educated. Because think about it. Between air traffic control school,
man,
and getting 3 associates and 2 bachelors,
right?
My Series 7 investment, I have so many licenses.
Yes.
That I was like,
for what?
What am I going to get a master's for?
Mm-hmm.
I'm already employable.
Yeah.
I'm already educated.
Yep.
All a master's is going to do is going to make somebody else feel a certain way about me.
You already have all of this experience as well that goes along with it.
And I have this same kind of conversation when I talk to people because we talk about, me being an author and a historian. And it's funny because all the other historians and authors that I work with, all of them either have their master's or their
PhDs. Yep.
Matter of fact, most of the other historians are all professors in the university, the Virgin Islands and different schools and stuff around. And it's so funny because, they view me as their equal. And I don't need them to look at me as the equal or left. I know how good I am.
Right. Just, hey, put me on the stage with everybody and we'll see who, see how it shakes out.
And I tell people, because I've worked with a lot of people in the banking industry and stuff like that, and I tell them the one thing that I feel most confident about is that I can have pretty much any conversation with anybody at any time.
I truly believe that one.
Very few people that will sit down at a table with me and I'll feel overwhelmed and can't talk to you.
Right. Man.
Matter of fact, usually when I sit down at a table, and like, especially like when me and my wife go on cruises and stuff,
yeah,
you're in these groups and they're a table with like 8 or 10 people, and you're meeting each other and stuff like that. Almost always, and my wife said, "Watch, everybody's gonna want to talk.
You're gonna be holding court.
Everybody's gonna want to talk to you." Yep, it never fails.
I believe it.
It never fails, and whether the topic is about, race relations or people relations or history or whatever, or don't let it get to money, because if it gets to money, then then I own it.
All bets are off.
But normally the doctors will sit there quietly, the attorneys will sit there quietly, the politicians will sit there quietly, and they want to hear what I have to say.
Wow.
And my biggest thing is, I got as far as I have not by talking, but by listening and learning.
Wow.
And I need to, as much as I talk to you today, now I need to go talk to other people and fill back up.
Right.
And have more things to talk and share about.
Definitely.
Sometimes you'll meet people, you'll see guys and girls who go on dates, and that first date, he tells her everything. And that's all he got.
That's it.
He ain't got nothing else.
I'm out. I mean, if you're not doing anything, then you don't have anything to talk about. I mean, that's another thing that a friend and Pastor Carlos, he was on episode 30. I mean, he said that years ago, like the people who aren't doing much, they're just kind of, okay, your life's good, I'm doing all right, but after that, they don't have much, or they maybe can talk about work, but that's all they do is they go to work. And then, maybe if they have kids. But I'm always looking like, because people have like asked me, how are things going? And for me, that's almost a loaded question. I'm like, well, my son is 7 months. I got a podcast to record. I got this person coming on. I got to find some stuff to talk about there. Or, we got a game today. Or in the classroom, this is what I'm doing. So it's always like some things. And we haven't even talked about church and all the stuff that we do there and the events that we put on, and I got guitars back here, so it's almost like I have this full life of stuff that I'm doing, and it's all stuff that I want to do. I chose to be a teacher, I chose to be a coach, I chose to have a podcast, I chose to have a son, I chose all of these things. And sometimes it's just like I'm tired, but it's not like because I have all the stuff that I don't want to do. It's all of these things. My life is full of stuff, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I know. Man, I'm trying to plan a trip where I go to Wyoming to dig dinosaur fossils.
Oh my goodness.
Why not?
I am not surprised.
Why not?
The obscurities, the oddities in life.
Why not?
Why not? There is no reason why. Who says you can't dig for fossils? Yeah. Nobody. And now I'll be waiting on the book when it comes out. That is a great place to stop, my friend. And I guess I could call him, somewhat of a mentor, right? I look up to this guy. He does all these crazy things. I'm like, I could do some crazy stuff too. But this is the Living Numbers Podcast. Episode 33 is in the books. My Grant Hill episode, I got that from my brother Troy. He was on episode 32. Troy is just like, when me and Troy get together, it kind of heightens my energy and the crazy things that I might do. So check that one out.
What number did Pippen wear? Or was that Larry Bird?
33, Larry Bird.
Okay.
But I'm from Detroit. I grew up Grant Hill. Grant Hill was the man. So thank you all for listening. Of course, like, share, download. Make sure you rate 5 stars, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you listen to. Follow me on Instagram @_TonyRambles_. And if you want to communicate with your guest, your host, definitely send me an email, oneTonyRambles@gmail.com. This is the Living Numbers Podcast. And I'm your host, signing off. Me and my friend Rico. We're done. See you in the next one.